What's up, Loud Sports? It is the first ever edition of a brand new show that I wanted to try out that I'm actually really excited about. It's called The Tampa Jake Show. Great name, right? Now, I know some of you probably have seen the character of Tampa Jake, and you're a little bit worried, and you're thinking, okay, how can that gimmick go on for a whole show? That seems kind of annoying. I get that. And that's how it's going to be. The character of Tampa Jake lives on, but not in the capacity that you might know him as. It's literally me just talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got my Brady shirt, rocking the Brady shirt and everything like that. And it's really just going to be me talking about the Buccaneers, maybe talking some of you down from the ledge, maybe giving some insight that you didn't necessarily have before, and makes you look smart to your friends. And it's me talking about the Bucs and something I've always wanted to do. I like to look at the show as a pilot program. So there's 5 games left on the Buccaneers schedule, and I intend to do those shows every week. So that's 5 episodes, and then if they do make it to the playoffs, I'll do another episode for that, or a couple episodes, God willing, they win a couple games. But that's my plan. And it's going to be like a pilot program, and if you guys still like it, then maybe we could talk about doing other sports, talking about the Lightning, talking about the Rays, talking about the Tampa Bay Raptors. That's right, Raptors are in Tampa now, so they're part of the Tampa Jake Show. I'll talk about that if you'd like, so this is up to you guys. If you respond to this and you like this show and you want to see more episodes of it, I will gladly produce more, but for the time being, we're going to do 5 episodes at the very least, and then let's see what happens at the playoffs. So let's break down the Monday Night Football loss to the Los Angeles Rams. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall from 7-3 to 7-4, and the Rams go to 7-3 on the season. I think overall I want to talk about this game in a sense that if you watched my instant reaction, you saw my gut reaction. I was trying not to put all the blame on one particular coach, one particular player. I was trying to spread the wealth in terms of people that I wanted to be upset about, and I think I came to the conclusion that I think the core problem for this team has to be the offense. I think Todd Bowles is still very much in control of this defense, and as you saw it last night, they were a huge component in making that game close. And we'll talk more about the defense later. So I'm going to give you an overview of the game, what I thought, and I'm going to break down the offense and the defense. We could talk special teams, but all I have to say about special teams is Kenyon Barner, what are you doing? Almost had the fumble there. I don't know why he tried to run it out with no time on the punt return. I don't know why he couldn't have just tried to take a fair catch and give Brady maybe a second or two to throw a Hail Mary. I don't necessarily get that, so that's all you get for special teams. So back to the main point. Let's talk about what I said last night. Last night, I tried to put the blame on one person, and I said it was Byron Leftwich, because I really don't think Todd Bowles is having any problems with that defense. I still think he's in control of that. They've looked great all season, minus the I would say 2 games. It was the LA Chargers, but the LA Chargers are carving up everybody, so maybe that's not an issue. But definitely the Saints games are a big problem for me. I have to think that if you're going to be a systematic level, it's got to be Byron Leftwich. And Byron Leftwich, say what you want about Jameis, and I've had my opinions of him. Jameis threw 30 interceptions last year. But he also was a part of an offense that wasn't extremely productive in the red zone, and they've been criminal in the red zone with Byron Leftwich last year. Different story this year with Brady. They've been able to put in points. They've been able to score touchdowns. They've been able to make plays. But I don't understand how a team with this much talent, we've got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Cameron Brate, Gronk, Brady, all these components, and look this bad offensively against the LA Rams. And that's not taking away their defense. The Rams have got a solid defense. Their secondary is their strength, and you saw that late in the game when Tom Brady threw the pick. I'm not taking that away from them. I think they're a well-coached football team. I think Sean McVay, I personally called him out a few times last season, and I think he's back to where he was a couple years ago. And I look out for the Rams. They can make a push in the playoffs because now they're first in the West, so maybe they can make a run for the playoffs. But if I were to put my biggest gripes with this team, it has to be offensively, and it has to be Byron Left's play. Good God, I can't say his name when I'm talking fast. Byron Leftwich, to me, is consistently the problem with the Buccaneers offense. He on a 4th and 1, and look, I get it. Rojo hadn't been producing much. Fournette hadn't been producing much. The Bucs had not been running the ball well. I understand that. But on a 4th and 1 to call an out route pass to Godwin and Evans on the same side, rather than have, say, Rojo run it, or take Tom Brady, who is the single best quarterback sneaker in football, why not give him the opportunity to get you the first down? Because that was an important part of the game, and that could have changed things. That really could have. And, there's the play call there. There's some other choices that I just don't understand. I mean, I understand that it doesn't help when your running backs can't catch passes out of the backfield, but I feel like those plays are called too much. And why is it Byron only wants to use Mike Evans for a half? Why does he only want plays to go to him? And yes, I know Brady threw to him later on, and there was good coverage and all that other thing. Sure. But it's not just this game. It is a running series throughout this season where it seems like, for whatever reason, Byron Leftwich can't seem to work out a play for Mike Evans and run a scheme for Mike Evans. And, there's the argument, well, Godwin makes plays and Antonio Brown makes plays. Brady throws them a lot. He does. But what is the thing that you want Mike Evans to do? You got that big, tall, athletic receiver. What do you want to do? You want to throw the ball deep to him. And when have we ever seen that? It just seems like whatever happens in the second, it's like Byron only plans for a half of football each week, and then hopes that it works out, because we saw it against the Panthers. That was a tie football game going into halftime, and then the second half, the offense finally took over and dominated. The flip side of this, the offense played really well in the first half, lays an egg in the second half, and has to just pray that the defense can make stops and make the plays. And luckily for the Buccaneers, they have a defense that's good enough to do that. All right, so let's break down, the facets of the game, minus special teams, because special teams were almost, I weren't even there. I don't know. So let's talk about the offense. And I know I just did a whole rant about Todd Bowles, and I still have my feelings about him, but let's break down the offense as a whole. And the most frustrating thing about this team is the inconsistency. And I said it in my gut reaction that I don't want to blame COVID for this stuff, because yes, COVID is a factor this season, but that doesn't mean that there should be a crutch for everybody, because everybody had to deal with what the Buccaneers did. Everybody had to deal with no training camp, limited OTAs, no preseason. That's not an excuse that works for me anymore, because everybody had to deal with it. Not just Tom Brady, everybody did. And speaking of Tom Brady, Brady went 26 of 48. Oof. Throwing the football 48 times is not good. 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, and of course 2 interceptions, one costing the Buccaneers the game. And I don't think it's just Brady. I know it's easy to say that Brady's washed, he's 43, he's lost it, but some weeks he's back and he's still the GOAT. I don't understand that. Tom Brady is the GOAT. Tom Brady is the 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. He is the best ever. He is the GOAT for the time being. I can honestly see, maybe Patrick Mahomes usurping him. But for the time being, Brady is the king. Brady's the GOAT. So to say it's all him, I think, is ridiculous. And to say I don't buy into that narrative that he was a system quarterback for Belichick. I don't buy into that. You don't win 6 Super Bowls by just being a system quarterback. So I don't buy into that. I do think that he played a little scared last night. I think that the Rams had gotten legitimate good pressure from their front four, and I think that threw off his timing, and he was forcing a lot of throws. Throwing the football really hard, like zinging the football in there. And look, I'm not a quarterback. I'm just a Buccaneers fan. I get that. But even I, as someone who's been watching football for 20-some years, I can see when a quarterback is frustrated. I can see when a quarterback is forcing passes. And you can see that with the velocity in which he's throwing the football. And I get that, certain situations, he's running a curl route and he's coming back, you want to zing that football in there, get it to him, put it where the defender can't get it. I understand that. And there's definitely times when you have to zing the football in. I'm not saying that, I'm not disagreeing with that. But what I'm saying is Brady was doing that with every throw. If he wasn't throwing it deep downfield, he was throwing it in there, breaking the receiver's fingers when they caught it. And I think that's because Aaron Donald and company were getting to the quarterback. We're generating those timing missteps. And I don't care how good your quarterback is, even if he is the GOAT, if his timing is completely thrown off and he can't run the offense that he wants to run it, it's going to throw off his passes and then he's not going to be as accurate. And that being said, he still had 216 yards, 2 tutties, but almost 20 incompletions, and that is not going to beat a good defensive football team like the Rams. Now, I want to get in a little bit to the receiving trio, and what I mean by that is AB, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. So AB continues to be productive for Brady, and you're seeing more and more why they brought him in. AB was brought in not for Tom Brady just to have another weapon, but he was also brought in because of the injuries to Godwin and Evans throughout the season, and they've been kind of light on receiver. And apparently that was a big investment for them because AB, for the second straight week, has over 7 catches. He had 8 catches for 57 yards, no tutties. And then you look at Chris Godwin, who's still a huge part of this offense, 7 catches, 53 yards, 1 touchdown, which his touchdown was insane. I think both Evans and Godwin's touchdowns in this game were just nuts. They were just manhandling these grown men. It was great. Godwin catches it wide open in the flat. Then he goes to the end zone, gets the full extension, goes out of bounds, but manages to loop the football over the goal line, put it in the end zone. And then Mike Evans catches the football, says, I'm going into the end zone. There's no man on this planet that is going to stop me. This is going to be a touchdown. And it was. He bullied his way into the end zone. He had 5 catches, 49 yards, 1 touchdown. And I will say this, and I said it in my gut reaction. Moral victories are dumb. They're the worst thing in sports. They're awful because your team still loses in a moral victory. But I stand by this as a Bucs fan, a lifelong Bucs fan, who had that one beautiful moment in 2002 when they won a Super Bowl, but other than that has been mediocre. To lose a game by 3 points on Monday night at home to a very, very good Rams team, I'll take that over a 38-3 shellacking on Sunday Night Football. I will take that. Ideally, I wouldn't want that because, that's as we will talk to later, it's going to mess up the Buccaneers' playoff hopes. But I will take that loss. And a performance like Mike Evans had, still, I complained that he didn't get the ball enough. He did have 5 catches, 49 yards, and that great touchdown. But most of that was in the first half. It seems like Evans doesn't get targets in halves, and I don't understand it. I really don't. He is your best receiver. And I know that's hard to say because you got Chris Godwin and you got Antonio Brown. But he is your deep threat. He is your franchise receiver. He is your guy. He has been there before Jameis was there. And to not get him incorporated more in the offense is a huge indictment on Byron Leftwich as a play caller. And it's asinine to me that Mike Evans only has 5 catches, especially when we talk about the Rams receivers here in a second. And then to wrap up more about the offense, no running game. Where last week we had a 98-yard touchdown round for Rojo, no running game this week. And again, credit to the Rams. They played great defense. But Brady can't be throwing the football 48 times. Now, if Brady were, say, Patrick Mahomes or Kyler Murray or a younger quarterback, Justin Herbert maybe, he could throw the football 48 times and be fine. But having a 43-year-old man and a walker under center throwing the football 48 times is not good for you. You need to be more productive in the run game. You've got to, and if it isn't Rojo, it's Fournette. If it's not Fournette, hell, get Shady McCoy in there. I don't care. Get somebody to be productive on the ground. Because going forward in these next 5 games, if the Bucs want a shot at a wild card spot, if they want to be in the playoffs, they've got to start getting their running game going more efficiently. Because if you noticed, they lose to the Bears when Rojo goes over 100, but most of the times when they can move the football on the ground, they win. Because it's like a thing with football. When you don't have to be one-dimensional, you can do other things. I'm really not as upset as I normally would be. If this were the Saints and they lost in this way, I don't think I would do this show. There would be no Tampa Jake show. There would be nothing. I would just go into a hole, which you'd think I'd do after 38-3, but I'm a masochist, as you know. So let's break down the defense. So first off, JPP, fountain of youth. This dude can still play. I remember a couple weeks ago they had a Monday night game, and the Bucs were talking about, it was the Bucs against the Giants, and JPP talked about his former team. He said, I want to destroy them. I'm coming for their neck. I want to destroy them. And he had a pretty good game. And then he consistently done that. JPP is a guy that when he came to Tampa, which they got for a 3rd-round pick, which is a steal of the Giants, but when he came to Tampa, I really think a lot of people thought he was washed and thought that, because defensive end, linebacker, outside linebacker hybrids, they don't last forever. It's a physical, rough game. He blew off 2 or 3 of his fingers in an accident. So now people probably thought he's washed. And then this dude to come out here and play the way he did, knocking down the football, he's so good in coverage, and that's what people forget. JPP is a pretty solid coverage defensive end. He blew up that screenplay, got the pick, set up the Buccaneers for the game tying field goal at that point. And that's his 2nd straight game. He had a pick against the Panthers as well. Almost picked off Drew Brees in that shellacking of the Saints. Why do I keep bringing that up? Why do I hate myself? But he still got it. And it's always nice to see football players get to a point where you think they've hit their ceiling and you think they've kind of plateaued, and then they go to another team and it's a complete change in their mindset and their playing. And JPP has, in my mind, been pretty damn good for the Buccaneers. So I'm excited about it. I think he played phenomenal. I think that, again, the secondary for this Bucs team continues to show up and show out. I mean, what else can I say about Levante David and Devin White? I mean, their speed to the football is incredible. I've never seen them move the way they do and fly to a play and pursue a play. And you know what that is? That's coaching. That is Todd Bowles coaching. So please, Buccaneers, let's go deep in the playoffs, because I don't think he'll be back next year. Because if nobody picks up Todd Bowles as a head coach, you're a fool. You're a fool. More about the defense. This is something that helped me on fantasy but hurt me in my heart. Cooper Kupp, 11 catches, 145 yards. Robert Woods, 12 catches, 130 yards, and a tutty. No receiving duo should have that many catches. I mean, it's just it's just not right. It's just not fair. Unless they're playing for the Bucs, in my mind. 23 combined, 23 catches, 145 yards. Oh my goodness. Combined, 23 catches, 175 yards, and a touchdown. That's nuts. And while I still think the secondary is good, it's still a young secondary. You've got a couple second-year guys. You've got a rookie in Anton Whitfield Jr. Whitehead's a second-year guy. Sean Murphy Bunting is a second-year guy. They're young. And, they're going to make those mistakes. And they're going to have a little breakdowns in coverages. It's just going to happen. But despite that, to say that the defense wasn't the star of the game for the Buccaneers is I think it's ridiculous. I think the Buccaneers' defense is the main reason this was even a game, and the main reason why the Bucs even had a chance late in the game to have that drive where Brady threw the pick. But that doesn't exist if the defense doesn't play the way they did. And don't misunderstand, I make the joke that, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods were just making the defense look like burnt toast. They were, but majority of the time, the defense was playing great, especially in the second half. So it is what it is. So let's wrap up the first ever edition of the Tampa Jake Show to talk about the future. Now, I'm not going to break down the Chiefs game. I'm not going to go into that. This show is basically going to be giving my thoughts and analysis on the previous week's game and then shifting to look at the Buccaneers' playoff hopes. So, going into this game, the Buccaneers were a 5 seed. So, securely had that 5th seed spot, which is ideally a spot they would want, because with that 5th seed spot, you're going to be playing the NFC East winner, so whoever comes out of that trash heap. Also, home field advantage isn't going to be a big thing in the playoffs, so that might benefit you. But now, the Buccaneers have fallen to the 6th seed as the Rams jump up to take the 2nd seed, and then the Seahawks go into the 5th, Buccaneers in the 6th, and now the Cardinals in the 7th seed. So let's look at the remaining schedule for the Buccaneers. The Chiefs coming up, which probably will be a loss, let's be honest. Then the Vikings. Well, the Chiefs, bye week, Vikings, Falcons, then the Lions, and then the Falcons again. Because the NFL really doesn't know how to schedule divisional matchups sometimes. And you play a team twice in 3 weeks. So, at the beginning of the year, I said the Buccaneers would go 11-5, and I said this in my reaction. I still think that's possible. I think they probably drop another game to the Chiefs. But then the last quarter of the schedule is favorable. A Vikings team who's very talented, went on a win streak, but just lost to the Cowboys, very beatable team. A Falcons team who's playing hard for Raheem Morris, but is still a very beatable team. A Lions team that who knows what's going on with Matt Patricia, and then that Falcons team again. I still think that the path to the playoffs is there. Now, you've got to hope that the Seahawks slip up or the Rams, they're going to need some help, because I think the 5th seed is the slot to be, because in that 5th seed, you're going to play the Eagles, and then, you possibly could be playing the Seahawks again. You could possibly be playing the Rams again. And then, maybe all roads have to go to the Saints, which terrifies me. And a quick note here. As a 6th seed, the Bucs would have a rematch with the Packers. Oh, I keep forgetting that. So, if I remember correctly, the seeding is Saints number 1, Packers number 2, Rams number 3, Eagles number 4, Seahawks 5th, Bucs 6th, and the Cardinals 7th. That is the current seeding, and as it says 6th seed, actually no, they would play. See, I'm all messed up. They would play the Rams. No, they would play the Rams, because the first seed gets the bye, so it'd be Packers against Cardinals, Rams against Bucs. So this Monday night matchup would be a rematch in the playoffs if the season ended today. I still think that the Buccaneers have a pretty solid shot at going 11-5, a miracle at going 12-4. I just don't see them finishing out this season beating the Chiefs, unless they can steal the model that the Raiders used and with the one win and then almost winning again. Maybe if they could steal that model, talk up to John Gruden, the football gremlin himself, and be like, "Hey, what did you do? What's working for you? How did you beat the Chiefs?" I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching the first edition of Tampa Jake Show, the Tampa Jake Show. And as I said, it's a pilot program. So if you like this, let me know. Like us, thumbs up, subscribe, all that crap, whatever you say. And if this keeps working, it could be a regular show. Depending, the summer, it probably wouldn't be a weekly show. Probably more spaced out. But yeah, I love talking about the Buccaneers, and I feel like this is a chance to do it and a forum to do it. So thank you so much. I'll put the audio up on a podcast feed if you want to listen to it there. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. And until next week, this is Tampa Jake, baby.